This is how it began. Got an email from Tony after he saw a CNC video I'd posted. He wanted to build an arcade. And he looked at some of the plans and he decided he needed some CNC work to do these plans. And we looked at pictures of different arcade games. These are called bar top arcade games. Tony found this set of controls and I found them on Amazon, and we ordered a set. Did some quick CNC work to lay out the buttons onto a test panel. Of course, 3D printing had to be involved, so I cobbed up a very quick mount for the USB to arcade control adapters and 3D printed them. Got those mounted onto a test board so we could see how those worked. Of course, I ended up having to 3D print some tools to screw the nuts on the back and things like that. But eventually I used a piece of scrap wood and created a test setup. We needed wood for the case. I got lucky on this one. Somebody had discarded an IKEA bureau and it provided all the wood. So I was able to put that on the CNC machine, cut out an opening for the monitor, and also using the CNC I was able to do all the holes for the buttons and the joysticks and things like that. And eventually we had a case coming together. An old 22-inch Dell monitor mounted inside was going to be the video display. Of course, I had to test it out, so I took a Raspberry Pi and installed RetroPie on it. And that seemed to work pretty good. Little emulators and things like that. This is when I tripped back to 1980 and started playing Defender, which I'd spent a billion hours in an arcade doing. It was just like it used to be. So I re-honed my skills again and got myself onto the leaderboard for the day, and the all-time great scores leaderboard, and then went back to actually working on the project. Things were coming along, got more of the pieces done. Again, all this wood came from that one bureau. It was tossed on the side of the road, and eventually we had something that was looking like an arcade game. Did some staining on it. Back and forth emails between Tony and I on where to put some other buttons that we needed, what we were going to do for audio, whether it was going to be USB, and eventually I decided some old Harman Kardon PC speakers that had been used on a computer system in the past would work good for this. So took them apart. They have nice looking speakers inside. They've got a built-in amplifier and everything. So I was able to take the amplifier, the guts out, and using a CNC machine, build cutouts. This is a test cut, and eventually I got speaker grills and buttonholes on the front panel, and then after the test went for the final one, and it was pretty precise on the way the CNC machine cut out all the openings for the speakers in the back of the panel. Cut all the holes for the speaker grills. Just something you can't do precisely enough with a drill to lay out all those holes, but the programs that you use to do this make it so easy to lay out a circular grid of holes and then have the CNC machine cut it all out for you. And you just watch and you can go off and do other things while it's working on this, which is really nice. A little bit noisy, and the house is full of sawdust when you're doing this, but there it is, finishing off that job on the front panel and going back to its home position when it's done. Picture some of the dust and the mess that it leaves, and I'd put some tape on the front side to keep it from getting scratched, so I was taking the tape off and then clean off all the rough edges and mount the buttons in the front, and then install the speakers. There There's the speakers going in from the back. And then we had a front panel with speakers and buttons. Then I needed to install the back panel on the box. So again, 3D printer comes in to build a couple of places where I can screw to and brackets to hold it up and everything like that. I also needed to mount the amplifier from the Harman Kardon speakers, so I just 3D printed some brackets that would mount onto the volume control and screw into the inside of the back of the cabinet. Here's the amplifier as it came out of the Harman Kardon speakers. Just took it as it was and mounted it on the bracket. You can see it on the right hand side in there. There's the back of the unit, got a power bar. There's no PC in there at this point because Tony's doing all the PC work. So there's everything we need with the monitor hooked up and back put on. And basically this is the finished product. We did go back and add a couple more buttons, one on either side of the speakers, after we realized that we needed a reset button and a mode button to get back out. And my son has a vinyl cutter, so he actually cut some vinyl pieces to adorn the arcade and make it Charlie's for sure. And here's what the final product looked like, with Mike's vinyl applied to the front and sides. And once we had all of the extra buttons added to the front, there's the whole final finished product. Happy birthday, Charlie.